Hello, 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 hello. Welcome back to another episode of F1 Manager 2024 Mercedes F1 Team Rebuild. Welcome back on another beautiful day. We will be racing in Mexico. Let's not waste any more of our time and let's just hop straight into it.
It's lights out and away we go.
Lights out, away we go here in Mexico. Oh no, I forgot to actually deploy and push at the start of the race. Whoops, we might be dropping off. So, I have an interesting,
Understood.
I have an interesting idea I wanted to try. So, at this point of the season, we are just testing things out, seeing how it goes. Now, with Lewis, I have decided to do a one-stop and see how Lewis performs. Although next season he won't be here, so I don't know if I should have done that. But with George, we have decided to go on a bit of an aggressive strategy, but under-fuel him. So his car will be a bit lighter at the start of the race. How can he perform? He also has the soft, so technically this is the best he can be performance-wise. Unfortunately, his setup isn't 100%. For Lewis it is, but we will see how it goes. Now, Lewis and George in third and fourth. Currently, we are in a decent position. Off the bat, we passed Max and Norris. I think we started fifth and seventh. Now third and fourth. Unfortunately, I didn't see what exactly happened. I'll have to watch the video myself. But by the start of lap 2, we hold the third and fourth position, with Lewis also having the fastest lap. So this might be a race for taking for us. Now we will see how it goes.
Sorry guys.
Charles Leclerc, while battling one of the Alpines, by the looks of it was Gasly.
Yeah, don't sweat
He
it.
crashed and destroyed his front wing. Now, let's see, I don't want these two battling, so do I tell him to not fight teammate? But at the same time, well, he has DRS. Okay, I'll tell George to push a bit.
Happy to start reducing that management.
And hopefully we can continue increasing the gap to Norris.
Now we're watching Carlos Sainz here. Oh, all right so far. Very heavy on the brakes. They were just unable to do much about it.
Now we're in lap 15. We have a 9-second gap to Checo Perez. Lewis is now in front of George, pulling him away from Max. Max quickly closing in. He just put in the fastest lap with the hards on. He might be starting to gain an advantage. Now, 9-second gap to Checo. He will look to close it. I don't know if it is possible. Carlos Sainz just locked up and immediately pitted. He is down in 13th. Charles crashed, pitted, now in 20th with a big gap to Danny Rick. Ferraris might not finish in the top 10 today. We'll see how that goes, but the bottom feeder teams might have a fighting chance for points today, and we might have a fighting chance for the podium. And so Max passes George. George kind of did sacrifice his race for Lewis. We will try to stay away from Max while conserving our tire, but he got DRS again, and most likely he will close the gap. We will deploy out of this corner to hopefully not give him DRS, but I really need to save the tire. The fresher it is, the better. George, meanwhile, will have to pit soon. His ERS is damaged. Although it is minor damage, it will still affect his performance. So we just want to stay in fourth. Let's hope for a couple of good pits and try to live without any kind of mistakes. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully Max doesn't catch up to Lewis though. We are pushing with him, and by the looks of it, the gap isn't closing quick enough, and Max will get DRS out of this corner. He has the hard, so strategy-wise, I believe he has the
in the pit lane now.
advantage, but he pits now. Why? Why did he just pit? Okay, well, Max just pitted as soon as he got the DRS while on hards. Do they know something we don't? No, it will be dry for the whole race. So why didn't they just use softs or mediums? They also had a pit stop issue. Okay, okay. This is beginning to become interesting. Okay. Only good news for us. Norris in 4th, 5 seconds behind George. Albon 5th with Alonso. 2 Williams in the top 10. Sainz holding the fastest lap, racing back. We'll see if Max can race back. What kind of tires did Max put on? Softs. From hards to softs in lap 19, while George is still on the softs for his own race. We will go on mode aggressive now, though. Try to increase the gap. Alright, we are entering the pits with George. So, Max had a pit stop issue. Alex Albon had a pit stop issue. Let's see what happens with George. So, Lando and Piastri and Alonso will pass us. Sainz will pass us 2.8. Okay, fair enough. At least we had no mistakes. Sargent will pass us. Magnussen might. But, by the looks of it, we will come out in front of Max. Good, good, good. Okay. We do come out in front of Max behind the Haas. We will jump down to aggressive and balanced, and hopefully we can keep our position. Meanwhile, Lewis is on a one-stop, still in 2nd. Hopefully, Checo is doing a 2-stop strategy, and we might be able to... Okay, okay. I am beginning to get excited, but there is a long race ahead. Alright, so Checo has pitted. Lewis will pass him. Lewis will be first. We will go back to neutral and turn off ERS battle assist. We go down to mode balanced. Try to conserve some fuel, but Checo has softs now. He will be trying to race back towards Lewis, but Norris does also pass him, so he'll have to get back past Norris, and only then he'll be able to chase down Lewis. He has a 13-second gap to Lewis, so hopefully we'll be able to hold it for long enough and then switch to the hards. Meanwhile, George is going for the overtake on Kevin Magnussen. He just passed multiple cars while they pitted. So, let's see. Max has caught up to George. He has 90% softs by now. 96% mediums for George. We will drop down to neutral and hopefully catch up to Carlos, who is 10 seconds in front of George.
At the 11th corner. There's the opening. And Verstappen says thank you very much.
Alright, so Max just passed George. We will be battling with him though. By the looks of it, Max is on a 2-stop strategy, the same with George, but he has the softs on, so if we could ruin his softs while battling with him, that'd be great. Now, Checo is also storming back, trying to catch up to Lewis. Hopefully, we'll be able to hold the first position while still on the mediums, and when we pit, hopefully by then, we will, I guess, still be in front of Checo. We will pit, then Checo will pass us, and we'll be able to race back in clean air on the hard compound. Now, hopefully there will be a gap, and hopefully all of the cars will be doing a 2-stop. Only Lance Stroll with the hards, and Lando Norris also at 54% medium. So he might be doing a 2-stop as well. Let's see, Danny Rick, no. Yeah, so Lewis and Lando might be the only 2 drivers doing a 1-stop strategy.
We're watching the Ferrari. Things were all right here. Struggling with the car. Now they did leave it very late.
So Carlos Sainz locked up again. We just passed him.
That was a nice move.
And George Russell is happy about that move by Carlos. Now, should we push? We can see that Checo is closing in aggressively on Lewis at 85% soft for him. Max is at 75%, but Max did pit a couple of laps earlier, I believe. George has done a good job staying behind Max and even getting in front of him, ruining his tire even more. Now, regarding Lewis, I am not sure if I should push and pit earlier, or if I should just hold out and follow the strategy. We are on overtake aggression low and rarely defend, just so we can save the tire. Should I try to hold back Checo? He is on the soft, so it will be only beneficial for us. Now, if we do defend, Lando Norris might be able to catch up, and he might be the only real competitor for the first position this race, as he is also doing a one stop from what I predict, judging by the fact that he is currently on basically the same level mediums as Lewis. Tough decisions here. He has closed the gap now. Should we defend or should we not defend? I am not sure. Let's just follow them for a bit. Meanwhile, George is battling Max. Checo with DRS still not going for the overtake, just following Lewis close behind. Interesting. I believe he could have overtaken Lewis by now, but he chose to not to. Now, if Lewis can hold him behind, he will ruin his tire. But I believe Checo will easily pass. No. Okay. Still a no. Interesting scenes here. We will just hold the line from what I believe. I don't want to really ruin our tire while defending against Checo. Actually, we do have the time advantage, kind of. If we pit right now, we would come out in front of Max. If we start defending from Checo, we might lose that gap. So I might not want to do that for right now. We will naturally let Lewis do his thing and just trust the process. That's what we'll do. Let's see, have we ruined his tire? It's 78% now, so I'd say Lewis has done his job well enough for right now. Technically, we could wait for a bit longer. Then again, if Checo does pass us, we could use the DRS from him. That also would be useful. But we would be in dirty air. That would cause us some tire issues. Whatever. We will stick to the plan and just do our own thing. Meanwhile, George is still trying to catch up to Max or just stay behind him. And now Checo does overtake Lewis. And so Lewis enters the pits. Now, we have lost the gap to Max. Max will overtake us. The same with George. Oh, Lando also pits. So Lando, by the looks of it, is just competing with us. We get a 2.5 pit. That's a great pit. We even get out in front of Lando before he's able to pit. Max and George do pass us. Does Oscar Piastri pass us? He is closing in quickly, but by the looks of it, we will get out in front. So, we have a 23-second gap to Checo. Hopefully, we'll be able to close it down. He might have a pit coming in. Now, we might need to push a little bit to hopefully close the gap. So, whenever he pits, we have a nice gap to him. So he isn't able to catch up to Lewis while on the fresher tire.
Now there's the car of Piastri. Can they squeeze by? And 5th place after that.
So Oscar Piastri passes Lewis. We will just try to use Oscar as a bit of a lift or as a DRS train to pull us along, hopefully closer to Carlos Sainz. And so Lewis will be going for the overtake on Oscar Piastri in lap 37. He is slowing us down now. If we check the last lap, it was like a 200 or even a second gap between them. So, well, actually no, it's like 200 milliseconds, but Oh, Lando Norris is here as well, so 3-car battle for 5th. Lando did pit for the softs, so we will just let them go. It is what it is. Maybe, hopefully, we can get behind Lando and follow him along while he races up to the top positions. Now, Oscar, by the looks of it, will hold us back, though. So, we now have a 27-second gap to Checo and Max.
Now this happened as they arrived at turn 12. And there's the contact. That will have knocked their confidence.
Lance Stroll once again has crashed.
15.
He's not out though. He will continue racing, so not a safety car. A safety car would technically just benefit the current top 2. Now, if we could get in first and then get a safety car, that'd be great, but I don't think that will happen. Now, let's see. Oscar has closed the gap on Lewis, and Carlos is now on the tail of George, although his tires are in a worse condition, so hopefully we can continue pushing. Okay, so Checo has pitted. Where is Lewis? So, Checo coming out of the pits with the mediums. Still in front of Lewis, and Max passes him, so not even George passes him. So Checo seems to be out of reach now, unless if a miracle happens. But on the mediums, Lewis will be on used hards. The only thing you can hope for is that somehow Lewis catches up to Checo. He will have insane pace now, but he might drop off quicker. Meanwhile, George is overtaken by Carlos Sainz now. So, rest of the drivers have pitted. George and Lewis now in 2nd and 4th. But Lando overtake... Oh no, that's Oscar Piastri overtaking Lewis, while he's also doing one last push before pitting. Now, how far away is Max from Lewis? 10-second gap. Hopefully we'll be able to hold it. Max on the mediums, Carlos on the mediums. And the rest I don't really care about. George, meanwhile, battling with Lando Norris, who's on brand new, well, actually no, used softs. But we will let Norris overtake us. Hopefully we can use his DRS and pit soon enough. So, Oscar Piastri enters the pits. Lewis will now be in 4th. We also tried to push or get some DRS out of Oscar while we could. 7-second gap to Max now. George, meanwhile, battling Lando. I am still trying to use Lando as, I guess, a DRS train, or use some of his the DRS that we can get from him to increase our lead and hopefully even catch up to Checo, although it doesn't seem to be a viable option at this time. But the 2nd place on the podium is still available. Lewis caught up to George. George will now enter the pits for the softs. 10-second gap to Max. We will not get out in front of Max with George. Hopefully you can get out behind Piastri at least. Now, let's see. 2.4 is the time for George. Let's get out on the brand new softs. Meanwhile, 7-second gap to Norris. He will have to pit though. Max closing in quickly though. So, George is now in 1st in the HL Pit Stop competition. That is great news, but we will celebrate that after the race. Now, it is time for him, for George, to push, and try to gain as many positions as he can. Lando Norris has entered the pits. Lewis will overtake him. So now, hopefully, we will be... Okay, he is on brand new soft, so he will be pushing. But Lewis will have a 14-second gap to Norris at least. No, no, 14, that's for him. It's a Checo. So for him, it is like, actually, it might be 14, or 14 as well. No. Never mind, whatever. But we will have a nice buffer zone. Hopefully we'll be able to last the whole race and stay in 2nd.
Right, so this was the 4th corner. The opportunity's there. And the Red Bull says thank you very much.
With 15 laps to go, Max overtakes Lewis. Lewis now a second behind Max. It's not looking too hopeful for the podium for us, but we will try to do our best. The one-stop strategy might not have paid off for us, but at the same time, George isn't doing the best as well. Now, maybe it would have been smarter for us to pit to the mediums, maybe the softs. But then again, we have to pit 2 times, so we would lose even more time. I don't know. Anyways, I am kind of happy seeing Lewis in 3rd, but by the looks of it, we will lose that position. Lando closing in on Lewis with softs. Now, Carlos might not be able to catch up to Lewis, but the softs are dangerous at this time. He has the DRS. He will not pass Oscar.
Just stay close to him.
This corner. He will again try to overtake him in this straight. Let's see. He has the DRS. He has the tire advantage. He is on mobile. Oh, what has happened there? A crash. Virtual safety car. Lewis is okay. Okay, can we pit for the softs? Should we pit for the softs? Yes, we will. We will pit for the softs. We will pit for the softs. Whatever. We will go all out.
What's happened with Gasly there?
So, Sargent and Gasly came together. Should we pit or should we not pit with George? Decision time. Now, let's see.
BSC.
I believe most cars will pit. Now, okay, you know what? We will actually not pit with George. We will harvest energy. Harvest energy. For the sake of just pushing, we will push with Lewis. Should we or should we not pit with George? I kind of do want to pit, but we would come out behind whoever it might be who will not pit. So we will just pit with Lewis. Hopefully we will come out at least, okay, we will come out in 8th, I believe. Let's see. 2.7 pit. Where is Alonso? Is he back there? There's no way. Oh, Alonso did pass Lewis. Albon on the other side of the track. Okay, Lewis will be in 8th with brand new softs. 9 laps to go. We might have a nice fighting chance. And so, VSC has ended. Lewis 5 seconds behind Alonso. Now, let's see. We might have ruined Lewis's race, but at the same time, we might have done something just now. He has a couple of laps left to make a difference. Will he be able to do it? Oscar Piastri, I guess, benefited from the VSC. He will have... Actually, I don't know. Technically, it was our priority to conserve our tire. I believe we can pass Oscar at any time due to us having a soft with George. I guess it was better for Oscar if there wasn't a safety car, and we would have just stayed out battling with him, and then at the end of the race he'd have the advantage tires-wise, but now we might have the advantage. Lewis, meanwhile, racing back, trying to close the gap to Alonso. We'll see if that happens. George going for the overtake on Oscar Piastri. Successfully, he does. We will drop down to neutral. Leave it on aggressive and hopefully try to catch up to Carlos Sainz. I don't think that'll be possible though. For Lewis as well, he has a big gap to the leader, 38 seconds. Now, Max is like 16 seconds ahead, so that might be doable, but only a couple of laps left. Another yellow flag. Oh no, that's George.
Nothing at this point. Whoa, and around they spin. And once it started, they were pretty powerless to do anything.
George goes for a spin. Whatever he did to pass Oscar, he now messes up. And so, Lewis overtakes Oscar Piastri, now chasing down Fernando Alonso. Now that I think of it, we most likely should have stayed out with Lewis. we lost the position to Norris and Carlos Sainz, and we won't be able to catch up to them. But at least we will secure the 5th position. 5 laps to go. Hopefully we can close a 4-second gap to Carlos at least.
And you are the fastest on track.
Lewis just put in the fastest lap. 2 seconds now to
4 laps remaining.
Carlos Sainz. He put in a 1.16 lap. Both of these sectors were the best during the race. Okay, so Carlos Sainz has been caught up to. Stroll holding him back. And, oh, that was Charles Leclerc. I thought that was Carlos Sainz, but no. Now there is Carlos Sainz. Charles Leclerc in 18th. And so, Lewis has closed the gap to Carlos Sainz. Lando Norris is out of reach. But Carlos is a viable option to pass. I think we will pass him. I'm quite certain. We will save up some ERS. We could technically still try to go for Lando. I doubt it though. He may mess up on the last lap, so you never know. We might want to just push. We'll conserve a little bit with George, so he does finish. He is 2 seconds behind Oscar, so he's still racing. But final lap with Checo Perez leading the race. Has Checo won a race this season? I think he did win one. Let's see. Okay, there goes Lewis with a great overtake on Carlos Sainz. Now we'll be chasing Lando in the last lap with 4-second gap. I don't believe we can do it.
Really well executed.
We'll do our best though. Oh, Carlos Sainz going in for one last push on Lewis. We will go on mode deploy with Lewis now to try to get away from Carlos. He does have mediums, but they are at 37%. Lewis is the best tire on the grid at this time. And by the looks of it, he quickly opens up the gap, and Carlos will not get DRS.
Perez has
Yes.
crossed the line first.
Meanwhile, Checo Perez wins the race. Lewis quickly closing in on Lando, but it will not be enough for us to actually win the race. He is right there. We could easily overtake him if we would be given the chance. In for like 3 more laps and we'd be able to overtake him. It is what it is. Lewis
So
Hamilton
we have taken
4th, George Russell 8th.
Great effort.
Good race. I'm happy about
Well
it.
done, guys.
But we could have done much better.
Well done, Lewis. Great drive today, mate.
Alright, so the race has ended. We finished the race in 4th. We got the fastest lap, so 1 extra point to hold the gap to McLaren. Although, no, it's actually equal. If you look at it, 21 points for them. Actually, no, it might be even more. Whatever, it might be the case, but we finished 4th and 8th. I am happy about it. We could have done a bit better, but it is what it is. Now, let's see the Drivers' Championship. Lewis still stays 5th, but George Russell is overtaken by Lando Norris. I am kind of afraid to see what will McLaren be next season. Will they be actual contenders for the 3rd position? We will have to see next season, but actually, let's check back in on the results. Charles Leclerc finished 18th. He had an accident at the start of the race. I believe it ruined his whole race, but yeah, Lance Stroll 17th as well. Luckily for Williams and Haas, they put in a couple of points, and now Williams in 7th and Haas in 8th. They don't change positions, but they are in a more comfortable of a position points-wise compared to their rivals. Now McLaren has closed the gap slightly to us, but still a 100-point difference, and 200-point difference for us to Ferrari, but we have closed the gap by 7 points. DHL pit stop, we put in great results. George Russell had the best pit, while Lewis had the 4th best. So we overtake Aston Martin once again, closed the gap to Racing Bulls, and even increased the gap to Aston Martin quite significantly. I believe we will overtake the Racing Bulls this season if we continue to perform this way. We even Although, I don't know, but we could try to close the gap to Alpine.
It's lights out and away we go.
Lights out, away we go. So, we are now in the second race of the episode. Since recording Mexico, I have moved, so I had to sell my microphone to improve our performances, but out of the first corner, there is a crash.
Out of contact.
Ocon and Valtteri Bottas barely touched, but we race on. We'll see if Valtteri gets a 5-second penalty, but we are here in Brazil for a sprint race. Car setup wise, I believe Lewis had 82%, George Russell had 90%. So we are in a decent position. We qualified 5th and 6th. Let's see, what does the investigation say? No penalties given. Okay, well, we will race along. George battling Oscar Piastri in 4th. Let's try to get as many points as we can from this race weekend. Oh, who was that? Was, I believe,
Nice
Max
job.
Verstappen went
That's
wide.
P4.
And so George Russell will be going for the overtake on Checo Perez. Through the inside, he does overtake him momentarily. But he now does have the inside, so hopefully he will keep the position. Tough battle here with Checo, but Checo does end up keeping his position in 3rd. But George Russell has a 2nd gap to Oscar Piastri, so he should be good. Let's just use the DRS and hopefully escape. Lewis going for the overtake on Oscar Piastri. He has the DRS. Oscar has dropped off from George, now 2 seconds behind him. But behind Lewis there is a pack of cars, so we might be in trouble. With George, I might now need to start conserving some fuel, because right now it isn't going down, or we aren't gaining any fuel from being unbalanced. So I will drop down to conserve, and hopefully we'll be able to conserve our tires and push even more in a second. Looks like he's hoping for a good exit, but no. Still no can do. We are falling off from the top 4. Looks like Lewis will only be able to achieve a top 5 finish, if anything, but now he does overtake
Just need to make sure we keep these
Oscar
tires in good nick.
Piastri, so we will jump down to conserve and try to conserve our tires and fuel while
Just
in
up the
front.
lift and coast a little more.
And Oscar Piastri passes Lewis. And that was so easy from him. And Carlos Sainz also sticks his nose in. And Lewis, by the looks of it, just lost 2 positions.
Losing ground.
He does get
Yeah, don't
DRS
sweat it,
again.
Chris, don't sweat it.
But Carlos is now in front. Carlos goes through the outside, almost colliding with Oscar Piastri. And still Lewis behind. Lewis attempting to overtake Oscar now. We are in lap 9. Carlos Sainz has escaped the grasp of Oscar Piastri, and Lewis successfully does overtake Oscar momentarily. Hopefully he will keep the 6th position. Now we will try to chase down Carlos Sainz in 5th. But Carlos gets back with the DRS in 6th. Maybe the McLarens have a DRS advantage, and in those DRS straights they seem to be really quick. That might be the reason why we can't really keep our lead or stay in front of the McLarens. We will do our best, but currently George is in a really comfortable position. We just need to finish the race with him. Yellow flag, safety car deployed.
We've had a big crash here.
Let's see. Hopefully we don't hold up each other. Quick pit, quick pit. 2.7. Excellent. So, did we even gain a position? I don't believe we did. Lewis down in 10th. 2.6 for him. He will come out in 6th. Safety car in this lap. Max is already holding up the rest of the grid. We will go on mode deploy, try to attack as much as we can. Let's check out the restart. So Max does finally start racing.
So the safety car lights
Let's
have
try
gone
to
out.
gain a couple of positions here. This restart on the brand new softs. Now everybody will have that advantage, so
And
we
happy
also
to
need
pick
to
up the
worry
pushing
about
level.
possibly losing a position. I might want maybe Lewis to be a bit more aggressive with his overtakes. Although, I don't know if I want to risk it, but I will tell him to be aggressive.
Okay, let's go for it.
I want him to go for it. At the end of the day, this is just a sprint race, so if you can get that extra point, that'd be delightful. But basically, we're only racing for fun at this point. There is no catching up to Ferrari, and I believe McLaren isn't catching up to us, especially with Piastri and Norris being 7th and 11th respectively. So Lewis going for the overtake on Carlos Sainz. He successfully does. I will even tell George to be a bit more aggressive.
Just show me what you've got then. Yeah.
But we have now gained the 5th position. Hopefully, let's try to hold it now. George Russell going for the overtake on Checo. He successfully does. Hopefully, he can hold that position.
Nice one.
I am trying to monitor the
good.
tire wear while
So that's
still
currently
keeping our
P3.
positions. Now, hopefully George will be able to cool his tire while getting away from Checo, and Lewis can close in on Checo. And so George once again regains the 3rd position, pushes Checo off the track. And Checo, yep, looks like he did.
Okay, plenty of space.
He actually did.
And
I
here
kind
we've
of
got a
predicted
yellow
it.
flag. Now this is Sergio Perez, with not much room to move. And not just one car involved in that, as you can see.
And so George did indeed push Checo off the track. Luckily, we got no damage, but he, I guess, did gain an illegal lead. We might have to worry about getting a penalty. Yes, by the look of it, Checo is holding back Carlos. He now has a 2nd gap, so if Checo can hold back Carlos for this lap, so Carlos doesn't get DRS, that would be great for us. Now, hopefully we also have to worry about a puncture, actually. But hopefully with 2 laps left, the possibility is low. Hopefully. I'm not sure, though. I believe the rear right tire is the one that is destroyed. Yeah, rear right it is at 30%. The rest seem to be fine. I guess let's see what happens. So Checo didn't get DRS. Carlos will now pass Checo
So
by the
one
looks of
more
it.
lap.
We will drop down to... You know what, we'll leave it on attack. Hopefully nothing bad happens. We could avoid high-risk curves, but Carlos is now in pursuit of George. We just need to get Lewis past Checo. So Carlos Sainz will now be in pursuit of George, but George will finish 3rd just
Max
before
Verstappen
Carlos
over
can
the finish
catch
line
up.
to win the
Fortunately,
sprint.
Lewis wasn't able to
So you've taken
overtake
the checkered
Checo.
flag.
But 3rd and 6th, I can't complain. We outcompeted the Ferrari and Red Bull.
And it's lights out, and away we go.
Lights out, away we go. George Russell starts in 7th due to a grid penalty. So, Lewis will be starting in 4th. We will try to battle for a podium today. Let's see, where is Max? Max is 20th. Holy cow, what happened to him? How many grid penalties did he take? It'll be interesting to see what Max can do battling back from 20th. But, yeah, okay, interesting. Are there any other kind of changes? Norris in 12th, Piastri in 7th, Albon 10th, but the rest seems to be as usual. Only Checo out of the Red Bulls battling, trying to, I guess, slow down the Ferraris for Max to come back. But let's quickly follow Max. Hopefully this will be an irregular occurrence next season. I would like to see Max in 20th every single race next season. I don't think that will be the case, but definitely does fit him.
Now this one involves Stroll. And the controls lost. And I wonder, could they have done anything about that?
It is lap 10. Lance Stroll just spun, and I don't know what has happened and why Lance is spinning almost every single race. This isn't made for comedy purposes. I haven't edited his stats at all since the start of the series, but for like past 6 or 10 races, he's been spinning every single time. So George was in front of Alonso for a bit. He was overtaken again. Lewis has dropped off heavily from Carlos Sainz. I adjusted the strategy a bit. We will switch the hards or the mediums to hards, so we will have a longer hard stint. Carlos Sainz enters the pits. We will pass him. He was on the softs as well. George overtakes Alonso by the looks of it. We'll give him a small little push.
And happy to pick up the pushing level.
If we could get in front of him before he pits, that'd be great. But Lewis did an amazing job getting away from Alonso and closing the gap to Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz has a pit stop issue, and so Lewis enters the pits. Hopefully we can get out in front of Carlos Sainz. He is 30 seconds away from Checo. Now let's just do our best. 2.8 pit. Let's see, where is Carlos? 7th. Carlos is coming, closing in closely. Oh wait, no. He's behind a McLaren, so there he is. I believe we will get out in front of Carlos. That is great news for us. Yes, so Lewis is the highest car that has pitted. He's in the top 9 with a pit done. Great news for us.
So Alonso's just pitted.
Fernando Alonso just pitted, so may be our time to pit. You know what? Yes, we will. We will put on the softs this lap. We will go on mode attack.
And we will box.
And we will
Just box.
push. That's what we'll do. Piastri, Verstappen, Magnussen also pitted. So hopefully Lewis will pass them as well. And we'll be able to continue driving in clean air. Let's see, Albon came out in 4th. Oh no, he's not, hasn't pitted yet. So Lewis in 5th. He's again the top car with that has pitted. Great news for us. We will also deploy with George for the rest of the
Push
lap.
and hold, overtake.
I will turn on battle assist just in case to conserve as much as we can.
Overtake available.
Let's see, how far away are we from the leader? 29 seconds. Interesting. Can we do something here in Brazil? And so George now enters the pits. Let's see. So Checo on heavily used mediums. Leclerc on the hards. And George does a 2.8. He will now start exiting the pits.
Yeah, just keep an eye on your
Albon will pass him. Albon in top 3. Haven't seen a Williams be in top 3 for a while now. Let's see, where will George come out? Hopefully behind Lewis, but behind Alonso. There they are. We are racing. We've done a great job today. Oh, whoa. Is that also in the simulation? Or is that just a visual glitch? I don't know. Anyhow, so Alonso does indeed pass Lewis. We will not stress it. VSC. Oh no.
What the?
We exit the pits and immediately there is a safety car. If I could, I would have switched to the softs. Maybe. I was hoping for a safety car later in the race, but Checo and Leclerc get an easy pit under the safety car. They've got a little bit fresher tires than us. Lewis will be bunched up with the rest of the pack with the hards. Tsunoda does get a 5-second penalty. He will pit as well. Everybody looks like will be switching to the mediums. Lewis will be the odd man out in the top 4. If we had a chance at possibly winning this race or being on podium today, this will make it much tougher. Should I maybe have pitted with Lewis and changed the tires to the mediums or softs? I do not know, and I don't believe I should have. He is on basically brand new tires.
And we can drop the lift and coast for now. We'll make it up later.
Green flag. Leclerc will release us.
Safety car is in.
Let's see what happens. The second race start of today. And Lewis has a bad restart. George on his tail. Let's see, medium. We will leave it on medium. Technically, we could risk it even more with Lewis.
Copy.
Yellow flag once again. Everything seems to be clear, but Lewis does overtake Alonso while on the hards. Maybe I underestimated the power of the hards. Max is now going for the overtake on George Russell. Luckily, George also has DRS, but I don't think he'll be able to hold the Red Bull back. And wheel to wheel, and they collide together. Max crashed into George.
Oh, that's quite an impact between them.
And for the second time in this race weekend, one of the Red Bulls collide with George Russell. Max basically destroyed his tires. Which one exactly that he destroyed? Somehow all of them. But Max might have a cracked front wing. I do not see anything. Let's see what the investigation says. No penalties given. And by the looks of it, Max doesn't have any damage on his car. Only the tires collided. So he only destroyed his tire a bit. Nothing major though. Might have to actually adjust our strategy. Maybe a double medium. Ooh, wet weather. I didn't even think about that. Maybe that's why we should have went with the mediums for Lewis. Didn't even consider that. But George does hold back Max. Max might not be as confident anymore after that crash with George. Lewis continues attempting overtakes on Alonso, but he has been unsuccessful a couple of times. Now I will check back with George, and he still holds Max behind. We will quickly check out the rain. And now Max has joined the battle of Lewis and Alonso. This will be tough. Max is trying to overtake Alonso at any opportunity that he can, and Alonso is doing the same to Lewis, so they might need to actually push a little bit here to try to get away from Alonso at least, and let them battle it out. George has fallen off from Max, so we do not get DRS, and Lando is behind George. You might see George drop down to 7th, but somebody has spun out or crashed.
Let's watch these cars as they head into turn 10. There's clear contact there, and that won't do their confidence any good.
Danny Rick crashed. He's not out of the session, so there will be no safety car. But Lewis does battle and gain the 3rd position. Max now heavily destroying his tire while battling Alonso. That is only good for Lewis. Max has now overtaken Alonso and going for the overtake on Lewis, going from side to side. He is a bit too quick for us, and he will overtake Lewis. Now let's try to use Max as a bit of a DRS booster and follow him along. Meanwhile, George is overtaken by Lando. Fernando Alonso still battling with Lewis wheel to wheel almost in every corner. This has been going on for so long, but
let's just keep our heads down.
Alonso's tires have been ruined. Hopefully he will mess up soon, or we will start to at least pull away from him.
So the stops are starting to happen now.
Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris just pit. Let's see what kind of tire they will put on. I believe George will just have to battle with...
Let's start pushing them.
Oh, interesting. Intermediates. And so both of our drivers enter the pits.
Nice
We will follow the rest of the pack. So maybe we should have put it earlier. It is what it is now. But hopefully this doesn't ruin our race with the double stack. We do it perfectly once again. I don't know. It's like the third time we do it perfect. But we'd be all clear on exit. Will Alonso pass us? Here he is coming. Russell gets a pit stop delay. That might have been due to the double stack. Let's see. So George will come out behind Lando, but Lewis comes out in front of Alonso. That is good news for us. We'll drop down to aggressive. We'll leave it on mode push, and we will leave it on mode neutral for now. George Russell and Fernando Alonso battling closely, but George does overtake him. So now 15 laps to go. The track is considered to be dry with still some rain on top of it. I'm not sure if we should pit. I don't think we will. We will just stay on course and leave it as is, as again the rain bar seems to be fluctuating, although forecast accuracy is only at 70% for us. We do have some extra fuel that we can use with Lewis, so technically we could try to open up the gap to crew maybe pit and hopefully put in the fastest lap. But actually no, it doesn't matter. We will just leave it as is. I don't think we'll be able to catch up to Max, especially if we pit with the softs. It's too late to do that, so we will just stay in fourth. I won't even consider it. Now we only have to concentrate on getting George in front of Fernando Alonso.
Nice job.
George does have the worst tire on the grid behind Kevin Magnussen. He has been stuck behind cars for a while. He's been in dirty air for a long time, so makes sense why, especially in these changing conditions where it's going from dry to wet. I don't know what to really do with them. I will just let him battle it out for a second increase. Do I want to ruin the race with Lewis? You know what? We can quickly do it to George. Actually, we would leave some points on the table, and also George doesn't have the cushion. But you know what? We will just risk it. Let it be. Let the chaos begin. We will see how this goes.
Box, box.
I'm interested to see how this goes. Let's just do it for the fun. George enters the pits. He will come out in 11th, I believe. But let's just see now. I believe it is starting to rain even worse now. But maybe the brand new softs will give us a fighting chance. 2.6, a great pit stop for us. Now let's only get out in front of Lance Stroll if we can. And then we will have to make up almost 20 seconds. Well, I know for a fact it wasn't a great decision or a great move to do, but why not give it a chance? Let's just see. We are in a comfortable position in the championship, so we will just give this a shot and let's see what we can do. So, final lap time. Our strategy with George didn't work out. He's fallen off by 16 seconds to Lance. It only got worse, so I'm an idiot. We shouldn't have done that, but luckily we didn't do it with Lewis. Gave it a shot. We now know it's better to just stay on course. But George will have to battle for one more lap in this terrible setup that we have. Two causes behind us. the worst 2 cars to have behind you when you are battling for the 10th point. You know they will do some kind of shenanigans to just get this 1 point. But let's try to hold back as much as we can. Let's see. So, the final lap has started. This is not the final lap. We will leave it on attack. We will leave it on push. We might even deploy at some point. Luckily, they don't have DRS, so straight line speed should be ours now. Magnussen seems to be coming through 2 Haas wide, but they will not overtake us now. I believe we do have the power to stay in front of them, but it will be tough. So Lewis will finish 4th. Thank you, Lewis, for getting us our very needed points. I messed up with George just to try some things out,
So that's P4.
but hopefully we'll get at least 1 point for him. I will have to apologize to George, but
yeah, well done, mate. Really great drive.
Lewis is happy about his performance, though. We will go to balance, and we will deploy now out of these corners to hopefully try to get away from him. Actually, let's leave it on push. Let's do our best. I do not want to give away this 1 single point. He already given enough away. No, no. Okay. I believe we'll be safe. Okay, we finished 10th. We get that single point.
Flag is out.
Sorry, George, for ruining your race, but he did his best. But I screwed up a bit. And so, Max started 20th, finished 1st. That's an unbelievable achievement. Definitely the safety car helped him out. But we ruined George's race, as I was saying, and to be honest, I guess I don't really care at this point of the season. We were testing things out just to see how these kind of attempts would change our outcome of the race. And I now know that I will never do this again. Although, I guess if all the things came together, we could have actually maybe achieved something from that. But it is what it is. We finished 10th. We gave the position away to Fernando Alonso. Lewis did a great job finishing 4th. And let's check out the Drivers' Championship. So, Sergio Perez now passes Carlos Sainz as the 3rd best driver in the championship. Lewis Hamilton closes in on Carlos Sainz. 100-point difference from them. He is definitely not passing Carlos. Lando Norris did pass George already. Actually, I probably should have left George as is. I forgot he is battling with Alonso and Fernando in the Drivers' Championship. It is what it is now. Lance actually gets a couple of points. Haven't seen that happen in a while. And so, Red Bull have won the Constructors' Championship officially. DHL fastest pit stop results. We put in the 3rd best pit stop behind Red Bull with a 2.3. That is crazy. 2 great pit stops. Let's see. We again pass the Racing Bulls. I don't think we will catch up to Alpine though, but we do solidify our position in 5th. Alright, and that will be it for today. We have 3 races left to end the season. In the next episode, we will start the vote for which driver should replace Mick. He has grown into an 80 overall. That is a decent driver, I'd say, but I would like to maybe take someone younger in. Anyways, that will be it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed today's episode. I will not keep you guys here for long, so thank you and bye-bye.